I'm Diane Rowden, Hernando County Commissioner with awesome Hernando County. And we're out at the Swamp Fest today at Weeki Wachee Springs, and it's an exciting day here with all the vendors. But what I found it really exciting is that I'm sitting here with Sandra Fisher, and Sandra is our Director of Mosquito Control for Hernando County. And Sandra is going to talk to us a little bit about how important it is for us to make sure that we control the mosquitoes and how we can do that. And we're going to talk about Zika virus, which is hot on our list, and also West Nile and other things but ways that we can control the mosquitoes. So, Sandra, I'd like you to introduce yourself and we can start talking right away about mosquitoes.
That sounds good to me. It's my pleasure to be here with you today. I am the Mosquito Control Director, as you said, for Hernando County. And we are out on a regular basis conducting surveys, doing inspections. But I believe you had a couple of things that you wanted to ask about.
Well, and I do because I found it really interesting talking to you because people think about mosquitoes and we kind of put them all into one category. A mosquito is a mosquito and it bites you. But my understanding is the Zika virus that's caused by these mosquitoes, it's a different type of mosquito and where it hatches. So we can talk a little bit and how important it is for people to listen and understand that and you'll explain this. So, smallest amount of water can breed these mosquitoes. So, go ahead, Sandra.
That's correct. Many people don't know, as you mentioned, that there are different species of mosquitoes. Some mosquitoes will actually be able to transmit the Zika virus or dengue or chikungunya. And then there are other types of mosquitoes that can transmit the West Nile virus or the Eastern equine encephalitis. Now, the Zika, dengue, and chikungunya mosquitoes, they actually breed in containers. So any container that can hold as little as a cap full of water can breed those mosquitoes. So we ask people to check in their yards at least once a week for any container that can hold that much water.
Well, and you mentioned something to me, and I wouldn't even have thought about that because I put water in my bird bath, and I've got these nice big healthy crows that love coming out there and taking a bath. And so maybe you can explain to me what I need to do about my mosquito.
Right. While you're out there.
My bird bath out there.
Exactly. While you're out there dumping your containers, you do want to pay attention to that bird bath because these mosquitoes will lay their eggs on the edges of the water so that when they're ready, they just plop right down into the water and they hatch off and eventually they become adults.
Well, that's very interesting. And again, just to remind people that are listening to WZEU 102.9, I'm sitting here today at the Swamp Fest, Weeki Wachee Springs, and I'm talking to our Director of Mosquito Control, Sandra Fisher, and we're talking about the importance of how we as homeowners can control mosquitoes from hatching, all kinds of mosquitoes. So let's go back to the Zika because that seems to be hot on the list as far as the type of mosquitoes that people have concern. We all should be concerned about them all, but when you were talking about the least amount of water, and so I'm looking at some of your pictures here, and one thing that people have out there, a lot of people, is their potted plants and that are out in just water and not dirt. So what should they do?
Correct. Just like with the, I believe the Florida Friendly Landscaping actually has a class to show you how to make the water containers that'll collect rainwater. So with that, we recommend that they put screens over them. And if they're doing hydroponics, which is growing plants without soil, they can also do the same. They can put screens around those plants so the mosquitoes do not have access.
What kind of the really like the screen you use on your back porch?
Correct. Any kind of window screen that you use to keep mosquitoes out will work perfectly on those structures.
Yeah. Don't use like chicken wire.
No, we wouldn't want that. That kind of defeat the purpose there.
I just had to add a little humor there. And I'm also looking at, I've seen this. If you're driving around, as people might have had an old plastic swimming pool and they turned it upside down.
That's
But
correct.
what happens is that any kind of bends and grooves in that collects a little bit of water, and it doesn't take much
That's
for that
right.
mosquito to.
Especially the kids' swimming pools, the little plastic preformed ones. It's great to turn them over, but then the water's going to collect in the lip around the edge. And a lot of times people will put a tarp over something thinking, okay, we're covering our boat so it's not collecting water.
Right.
Well, then the tarp starts collecting water as well. And these mosquitoes love small spaces like that. They don't like large bodies of water. They like the smaller spaces. And so we tell people just check your yard once a week, dump anything, pull the tarp up, let the water run off. And if you have any old tires, they
Oh,
absolutely
those
love
are,
tires. In
yeah.
fact, the one mosquito, the Aedes albopictus, which is referred to as the Asian tiger mosquito, actually came to this country through New York in tires that were brought from Asia.
Oh.
So that's like their favorite, their absolute favorite habitat.
Yeah, and it doesn't take much
It
for
does
that
not.
tire.
And if you have a tire swing in the front yard, for your kids, one thing that you can do is actually drill holes in the bottom, so that'll let the water drain
Right,
out.
right. And I was thinking that this would be a great project for your kids, that you can get them on the, like, teach them how to get on this mosquito control bandwagon, and make it out to be a real fun project for them. Now, Sandra, I'm sure that on the website we've got things that people can go to that get information. So is that our www.hernandocounty.us, or do
Yes,
you
it
have?
is. We're on the same website. If you click on departments, then you scroll down to M and you'll see mosquito control. We have a lot of information there. You can put in a request for service. If you're noticing a mosquito problem in the area, you can put your request right there. It comes straight to our email, and then our technicians will come out and give you a visit. We also actually reach out to classrooms. Renee Snow is our education coordinator. She's here with us today, and she visits classrooms throughout the county to teach children about mosquitoes so that they take it home to their parents. And it absolutely is a fun activity that you can share with your kids. Where's the water? Where's the water?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you can make it a fun activity for
Just
them.
kind of like when we were talking about recycling and different things like that, and you get your kids involved in it. And while we're talking about mosquito control, and one way that we can control mosquitoes biting us is to make sure that we use a good mosquito repellent. So that's really important. I think that people should get in just on a habit of putting that on, and especially their kids. Are there certain ones that are better than the other ones, or?
Well, it's based on your preference. We don't want to promote one product over another. It depends on whether you want to use something like DEET, a product that contains DEET, or there are other products on the market out there that say that they're all natural. There's a couple of other companies that make different types of repellents, and it really does depend on the user. Everybody has a different opinion on what works for them. But that's part of the 5 Ds that we promote, which includes to drain, of course, to wear DEET or
Right.
a repellent of your choice. Also to dress in light and loose clothing if you can, if it's not, 100 degrees outside. But then also try to avoid times around dusk and dawn, because dusk and dawn is kind of a shift change for these mosquitoes. The ones that are active during the day are going to be active right after sunrise and right before sunset. And the ones that are active at night are going to be active right after sunset and just before sunrise. So that's
make
why
sure
we
you
say
wear
dusk
your
and
repellent.
dawn.
If you are-
Absolutely.
because we all love to go outside.
Oh, sure.
And especially when it's so hot during the day, and then the evening it starts cooling off, and you've got daylight savings time, which we have more daylight and more times for those mosquitoes to be out.
That's right.
And so, and I know that we have a lot of pet owners, and people will give their animals the heartworm medication. So we can't take medication, but we can put that mosquito repellent
That's
on every
right.
day.
That's
so.
right. The heartworm medication is great, and obviously the dog heartworm is transmitted by a mosquito, and so we want to make sure that we're protecting our pets, and that includes your outside cats too.
Yes, cats?
Absolutely. Cats can get heartworm as well.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting, interesting. So, and I see over here, well, first of all, let me just remind people I'm sitting here with Sandra Fisher, and Sandra's our Director of Mosquito Control for Hernando County, and it's great having you here. You haven't been
Thank
here
you.
that
It's
long, so you're getting
been
kind
a
of
pleasure.
a real eye-opener with the Zika, but I also see this handsome-looking chicken over here, so maybe you can tell us what you do with these chickens and how, and they're not abused. These chickens are well fed and watered, but
Right.
what you do with the chickens.
Well, this is our Sentinel Chicken program, and she is actually a retired chicken. She worked last season. So what we do with these chickens is they're an early warning sign for us, which hence, Sentinel chickens. And they basically alert us to the presence of West Nile virus or Eastern equine encephalitis, which are, as I mentioned, totally different mosquitoes carry those viruses. So if the chicken has been exposed to a mosquito that's carrying one of the viruses, we come along once a week and take a blood sample and we have it tested. And if it's positive, then we know that there's virus in the area, and we act accordingly.
And we also have different programs out there. And again, this is not for the particular Zika virus type mosquito, but we have to treat all kinds because it can cause. I think the West Nile can cause some pretty serious.
Absolutely. West Nile virus causes for some people, it can be severe neurological symptoms, but Eastern equine encephalitis is really the serious one.
Wow.
There's a mortality rate of about 30 to 60% with Eastern equine encephalitis. And if you don't succumb to the disease, you will definitely have lifelong complications from the disease. And these two viruses are also found in horses. So we want our horse owners to make sure that their animals are vaccinated every year. And there's actually more than one vaccination.
So they can vaccinate them against
Absolutely. And it's not just one shot. It's actually a shot plus a booster. So we asked, and we had at least two horses die last year from these viruses. And so it's a very inexpensive vaccination for your horse.
And then we also have where our mosquito control employees go out and put a type of a fish, and it's called a skeeter eater.
It's called a skeeter eater. We refer to it as gambusia or a mosquito fish. These fish, actually, they're right behind you here in this tank. These are found throughout the county in natural areas. And so if we find an area that doesn't have fish that holds water for long periods of time, we'll go and we'll find some fish and we'll drop them in, and they'll take care of the mosquito problem for us.
So do you find the fish and pick those fish up and use that? We don't actually...
We actually do have a breeding program of gambusia out at our complex. We have a gigantic tank where we have them breed. It depends on where the technician is located in the county. Certainly, if they're out in Ridge Manor, they're not going to come back, to our location to get fish. But they know where there are areas to pick up fish, and so they'll pick them up wherever they can get them and take them where they need to put them.
Well, and another area that we have that people should be aware of is if you see any homes that are vacant that have a swimming pool, and notify the county because we need to go out there and we need to treat that water.
Absolutely. After the foreclosure crisis, the bankruptcies and the foreclosures, there were a lot of abandoned homes with pools. And, of course, the pools went into disrepair. The pumps weren't running. The screens were ripped, which, allowed mosquitoes this great breeding ground for them to lay eggs. And so what happens when we get alerted for a pool is we go out, we check the water to see if it's breeding. And whether it's breeding or not, we will add mosquito fish, which will stay in the water. They'll breed in the water. And it basically is a passive control system for us. It keeps the mosquitoes from breeding in those pools.
Well, that's great. And this, again, it's Sandra Fisher, with our Director of Mosquito Control. And, one other area that people should be aware of is that we have a lot of our snowbirds. They're here for the winter, and they go home, up north, and they might leave their house, and they might have a bird bath that they think, oh, well, I can just leave this bird bath out there, opening it when it rains and the birds. But I think it's important for them to know that, again, you can pick up that whole bird bath and turn it over, the top of it, so they should take that and turn it over.
Absolutely. Or they can, just the thing about the bird baths is they need to be scrubbed. They need to be scrubbed down to get the eggs off.
Okay.
Or if they
I'm
want
going home to do mine right
if they
away.
want to dump them, if they want to set them sideways up against something, that'll work too, because then the eggs wouldn't have access to the water.
Right, because people are gone for several months at a time.
Absolutely.
So, again, if you see that your neighbor's house is vacant and, they're your
Correct.
neighbors and friends, you might want to just go over there and help them by turning that
Correct.
bird bath over so
Absolutely.
you're not
And we
exposed
do
to
ask
that.
people, a lot of times we'll come up on a location that may not have somebody there, they may be away. And people will actually put bleach in bird baths or in containers or in the pools. And we really wish that they wouldn't do that, because the wildlife in the area,
Yeah.
plus
it's
we
not
have
good.
dogs and cats, that may come along and start drinking the water. And, chlorine, of course, in high amounts is going to make you sick, but these poor animals are not knowing, they're taking that in, and it could kill them. So
Well,
bleach is not your first. Call us. Give
yeah,
us a call.
Yeah, and what's that phone number?
You can reach us at area code 352, of course. It's 650. I'm sorry. I can't. I always,
754.
I'm sorry.
Isn't it?
540
540.
6552. So that's
Do that again.
352
540.
540 6552. I don't call myself.
Well, I have to tell you, Sandra, this time went by really quick.
It did.
And what I plan on doing is coming back to you, because we're going to follow this up, because I think it's important for us to let our community know what they can do to help themselves and help their neighbors, and let's keep ourselves out of harm's way and keep those
Absolutely.
mosquitoes at bay. So
Yes, and if anybody has a homeowners association or a civic group of some kind that wants us to come out and talk to the members of their community, we'd be more than happy to. We're going to be at Timber Pines on the 22nd, and I'll actually be coming to see you again on the 22nd to do a
great.
Zika presentation.
Well,
so
great.
anybody who has access to the county channel, they can watch the meeting live.
Well, that's great. And again, this is Diane Rowden, Hernando County Commissioner with awesome Hernando County, and I've been talking to our Director of Mosquito Control, Sandra Fisher. Thank you, Sandra, for the time.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure.